Welcome to Kinship Cafe. I am your host, Jim Jones, and today I am joined with Manoa.
Hey Jim, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for coming out all the way from Australia.
It's a long way, yep.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about connecting with the ocean today. And just before we do that, would you like to open us up with a song?
Sure.
Right on.
Let me swim deep as I dive into the great big sea. Let the water wash over me as I dive into the great big sea. Let me swim deep as I dive into the great big sea. Let the water wash over me as I dive into the great big sea. Swim deep as I dive into the great big sea. Let the water wash over me as I dive into the great big sea. Swim deep as I dive into the great big sea. Let the water wash over me as I dive into the great big sea.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Thanks.
So what is this song called?
This song is a new song that I've written in the past couple months. It's called Great Big Sea. And it's a song that I wrote after going for a surf. It was too flat up on the Sunshine Coast. I live down in Byron Bay in New South Wales in Australia. The Sunshine Coast is north of Brisbane, and it's a beautiful, beautiful area with rainforest and warm waters. But this was in winter. It was pretty cold.
Oh, wow.
But it was super flat, very flat. So we didn't stay out there long. I was hanging out with another friend who's he's a singer-songwriter as well, and his girlfriend, and we went for a swim just to play in the water. And when we came back, the songs for me, they kind of went something really, a song that really has a lot of power and energy for me. It usually just comes through, so I can't really explain it. It's a bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times that's facilitated by nature connection, by connecting with some experientially in nature. And so this song just came through while we were sitting and jamming after the little surf, and we're going to be recording it when I get back in January.
Oh, nice. So we
together, and my girlfriend, she's going to sing on it as well. So it's going to be like a real beautiful collaboration. It probably won't be released for probably about another year. We're going to work on it and kind of mold it. But it's about the feeling that you get, the cleansing that you feel like when you jump in the water. If you're inland, you're feeling hot and sweaty, and it's a hot day, and you go to the beach and you jump in the water, and that feeling that comes over you when you feel like you come out of the water and you feel recharged and revitalized, and a lot of that's the water and the salt and the whole energy and the whole spirit of the ocean.
Yeah.
So that song, every time I sing it, it's a little bit of a mantra. It's pretty simple, but you just go deeper into that feeling of what it feels like, and surrendering into that experience, really, of what it feels like to jump in the water.
So we got early access to it here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I actually haven't shared it anywhere else yet.
Really?
Yeah.
So world premiere
pretty new song.
on Kinship
Pretty much.
Cafe.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So ocean is something that I understand is pretty important for you.
Yeah.
What is your background, and how does that connect?
I grew up in San Diego.
Okay.
So I grew up in East County. And I grew up going out to, my uncle had a little boat, so we used to go out to the Coronado Islands a lot growing up. And I realized my time on the water, even just driving here today, was my wilderness. It was my escape, because I was, in the suburbs, and what was this sense of freedom and wildness around here for me was ocean and being connected, being able to go on the boat and look down and see the kelp beds and see all that. So I feel, very connected to this ocean here, and driving here was really nice to look at it. And that I actually had that realization driving here that's what it was for me. It was like this is wilderness where there's no people. This is just this beautiful, pure, especially the ocean in San Diego is just so beautiful. And for me, it was a bit of an escape, and I started surfing later on in life, and that was my pathway for study as well, for marine science. And that was so that I really did want to understand how we're impacting the oceans and be a part of that as well. So yeah,
excellent.
So it wasn't only just something that I was getting physically. It was actually my academic pathway.
Okay.
That I followed.
Yeah. So then, what are you doing with that?
Well, I did a PhD, so I went to UC Berkeley, and I studied marine biology, conservation, and resource studies. Did a study abroad in Australia, and then I was enrolled for a master's program at the University of Washington for marine policy, and I did a trip out to Australia, to Western Australia. I felt a pull. So music had started awakening in my life for me, like my expression. This magic that I was starting to follow, that had just gotten awakened a few years back. And so I followed that pull and ended up doing a PhD program out there in environmental education. Wow. And so when I was in Western Australia, I was able to do my PhD and start to really play a lot more, to start to play music live, like start to play in bands and start to do that. So I was able to really nurture both of those parts of myself. And so now, we fast forward some more time later, I'm based in Byron Bay in New South Wales, and we've got some exciting projects that I'm doing, with my academic pathway and with that. But I'm a full-time singer-songwriter. I'm touring the country, and really looking forward to coming here and playing and sharing. And both paths are really integrating for me now, which is great, because sometimes in my life I've been like, why do I do this and why do I do that? And now they're really starting to integrate together, and I'm very grateful for that.
That's great.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen too often, so.
Sometimes it just takes time and dedication and trust that what you're two seemingly very different things are actually weaving together in a special way. And yeah, I'm dedicated to the music as well. I love it so much.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and you do a great job too.
Thank you.
So,
I
yeah.
play a lot of gigs. I play a lot. So, when you play a lot and you tour and you do, sometimes 3 to 4 gigs a week, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You get better.
The people I know who make their living as musicians
Yeah.
are some of the hardest working people I know. You've got to be called.
Yeah,
you got to
definitely,
be
yeah.
driven. Yeah.
Yeah. It's and I felt that drive. I felt that pull to really, really step into it full time, and that's what I've been doing for 2.5 years now. And I'm so grateful to be able to play music and to travel and to do that full time is a real gift. And I just feel really grateful for that.
So we've had a topic that's come up on our show a couple of times, and things that I've been involved with in the past. Locally, there's a nuclear power plant that is being decommissioned, and like all of them in the U.S., they're having to deal with the issue of local storage. And this one is right next to the ocean in San Onofre. And so the ocean health is something that comes up a lot as far as concerns that people have. What with the studies that you're doing from environmental stuff, have you explored like what's happened with Fukushima or other aspects about how radiation impacts marine life?
I haven't personally done any study about the impact of radiation. I did work as a research diver off of San Onofre for UC Santa Barbara when I graduated from college. And I helped with them with their mitigation project for creating habitat for the kelp that they had destroyed. So I did work off the nuclear power plant there, but that was the effects of that is more like taking the seawater, heating it up, and putting out this hot, super saline effluent, and that destroyed the kelp beds. So. That's an impact that nuclear power plants have on a local scale is the way that the water systems are dealt with, and that impact on the local ecosystem. But in terms of like nuclear impacts, I mean, you saw how far that the that went around the Pacific Basin.
With the Fukushima?
You can look at that, and we don't know, obviously don't know the long-term impacts of that, but it's definitely a conversation that needs to be taken seriously and needs to be really, it's a lot. So we were talking on the phone as well earlier. That's a lot of nuclear waste.
Yeah.
To deal with.
Yeah. Well, it's an issue that has been an important one for me for a while because I live here.
Sure.
Yeah. But I imagine, a lot of the focus that we've had is about the impact it'll have on people and transportation corridors and things like that we've focused on. So, but the ocean is definitely another whole aspect of it.
Well, the ocean transports that material, So it's just like the air transports that material, the ocean with the currents, and the bioaccumulation within fish as well. That material gets transported. It's not like it's static. It's not like it's staying in one place. That's the air moves, the water moves, and that goes.
Yeah.
And those we can predict to an extent where we can expect these molecules to go, but at the end of the day, it's like there's so much randomness within that and the effects on the biology of that organism or any, it's just it's very hard to predict anything.
Right.
But it's probably a good idea to have a comprehensive national plan for that.
It would be nice.
That would be.
Yeah. So, this is just my guess.
Yeah.
That the reason that they have the plants, it seems, mostly near oceans, I'm guessing is that they don't have to worry about populations on half of, the area. But really, we're much more connected and tied in with the ocean than maybe they were anticipating when they were thinking about this as a safe area.
Sure.
So what can you tell us about that connection we have with the ocean?
Well, also part of the power plants is they need to be on the big body of water to for the cooling system. They're taking out of the Pacific Ocean all of this water all the time.
Gotcha.
So that's one of the reasons as well, is that they're built on bodies of water. Like in California, we don't have any other bodies of water, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything else is reservoirs that we use for drinking, or so there's not very much water we take from the Pacific Ocean. But can you say that again? Like, what was it?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about, our connection with the ocean is how much we're integrated with it.
Yes.
It's not
sure.
a separate kind of
no. Yeah. So
ecosystem. Yeah.
That's right. And it's so important for people to understand that connection and to feel that. So what my PhD was on was I did underwater photography with high schools. So we went out and we took the kids out and we used these digital technologies to help them connect experientially with the ocean, which basically is using technology to help people connect to the rest of nature, to the more than human world. And then when people are actually there, they're experiencing it, they're part of it, they realize on some level that, this is a lot more connected to them. If it's something that you always just look at and it's like a painting, you're not going to feel a vested interest in it. Yeah. And even a lot of the kids, this is over in Western Australia, they live like 10 minutes from the ocean. A lot of them had never even gone in the water. And they thought, oh, it's all sand under there. And then we did the program, and they realized there's so much more life, like so much, yeah. So I think that comes from that, just on a day-to-day basis, do people actually go and connect with the ocean? I mean, most people don't. Most people, especially now, like coming back here and understanding and seeing how much it can be a challenge to be in the States, especially at the moment. And people are working hard, they're doing their jobs, they're stressed, and if you're not mindful and present, something like that just seems like an abstract concept.
Going to the ocean and connecting?
That kind of experiential connection doesn't really happen for many people.
Yeah, yeah.
And therefore they wouldn't have a relationship with it. Yeah.
So what would you see as some benefits for people being more connected with the ocean in particular?
So much, like especially the way that you connect, like it can be anything. You can go for a swim, or I love surfing. I love stand-up paddleboarding as well. I used to be a diver. I love it. It'll come back again someday. It's something about we're terrestrial beings. And it's a bit of a mystery to enter into that ocean, because it's not really our realm. And there's something that comes from like the interaction physically. If you're swimming, surfing, it's good for your health. It's good for your body. It's good for your circulation, for everything. But then there's the actual the mystery of when you're sitting out there and you're bored and you're taking deep breaths. If you can be. I like to sit on my board, and sometimes I really like to tune into my breath. I just like to breathe, and I like to meditate and sit out there, and everything becomes a little bit clearer, a little bit more sharp, But it's a mystery. It's not like it's not where we're not used to living in the ocean, so it's something that's different. It's like an other, but it becomes understanding that we're interacting with it, independent on it. So I would say spiritually, for a sense of connection, physically for that kind of physical exertion and that, and just a sense of openness and expansiveness that you get from it as well.
Yeah. There's definitely a vastness that brings a sense of smallness.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about the fact that life comes from the ocean.
Sure.
And so that kind of returning, so much of our time have lived as like man against nature. We're trying to protect ourselves from nature instead of recognizing that we are a part of nature.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I hear a lot of what you're saying is like this way of reconnecting our place in the bigger scheme of things.
Exactly.
Like that we're all connected.
Exactly. And until you actually start spending time and doing it experientially, it can be an intellectual concept. You can write about it as much as you want. But until you actually really take that time to connect, whether it be with the ocean or with with the bird life, with where your place, having a sit spot, having a place where you go every day and you sit and you connect with the ecology, the more than human world around you, and you develop these practices and keep working on them, it remains an abstract concept because we get consumed by the needs of society, by that need. So it's like creating the space in your life to be able to have these deep experiences that remind you that, like, we are nature, that we are a part of nature. We are completely.
Yeah.
And it's like, for that to happen, it can happen in different increments, but we need a big shift on the planet, definitely. So
right. Well, we're all
Yeah.
in it together, so we've got to figure out how we're going to make it work.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's great. Would you like to do another song for us?
Sure.
All right.
Awake from your slumber, oh. Wake up from your sleep. In the silence that is offered, oh. Where I find my peace. And I wake from your slumber, oh. And I wake up from your sleep. In the silence that is offered, oh. And this is where I find my peace. Feel the fires, let them burn. Let them build up inside. As the water cleanses my body and my mind. Turn to Mother Ocean in time. As I wake to the fires in the early morning light. Acknowledge this grace and I return to light. 'Cause this is my time. This is my place. Tune into this magic place, 'cause you know this is medicine we things are not as hard as they seem. Away from the slumber, oh. Away go from your in the silence that is offered, oh, oh. This is where I find my peace. 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 Where I find my peace.
Well, that was another just awesome song. What is
Thanks.
this one called?
So this kind of flows along with the conversation. This is called My Medicine.
Oh.
And this is a song that I wrote, came through when I was doing a photo shoot at sunrise on the beach down in Byron Bay in Australia. And I'm actually really excited. This is really cool because I'm shooting a music video for it when I get back. It's been a song that's been out for about 3 years now, and it's kind of like the main song that I've really gotten a lot from, and I keep singing one of them. But I'm really excited because we're actually going to be doing a music video for it with a friend of mine, and it's really talking about my journey with anxiety and talking about mental health and how spending time in the ocean active can actually help alleviate the mental stresses of life. And so going to be coming from a perspective of telling my story, my journey with it, with stress, and waking up in the middle of the night worrying about things, and how this is one way to work and to deal with anxiety and thoughts like that. And so we're gonna really tell a whole story arc with this song and we're working on it now, and it's not, we're piecing it together now. But I think that telling the personal story is a really powerful thing, and that'll be the music video for the song.
And that's something I think a lot of people wrestle with. So many things are, shifting and up in the air that anxiety is definitely a common theme for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know I've had my own challenges with it and have found some real big benefits in mindfulness practice. And I understand you've got a particular meditation practice that you like to do.
Yeah, I've been sitting Vipassana meditation for almost 12 years now. It's something that really changed my life. It allowed me to see that life was actually, I was living life backwards. I was reaching for everything outside, and it was a great way to do it. I was seeing this woman in Western Australia, and she broke up with me because I was needy. I was like needy, and she went, "You should go do this meditation." And I kicked back to a time when I was probably about 10 years old, and I remember seeing a flyer for this meditation in the Sierras, and being really drawn to it. And I really think that was a Vipassana, and I'd seen it back then. I have this little snapshot in my memory. Anyway, I went to do the course, and I was so grateful for her for telling me about it, because that started my whole journey of taking responsibility for myself, taking responsibility for going inwards, and understanding that journey of everything that I thought I wanted externally was actually stuff I needed to go inside in me and work on. And so I have, sometimes I'm sitting really strong, and I have really, I sit for an hour a day. Sometimes it's not that strong. It comes and goes. But I really, the 10-day courses are so good to do, like once a year. I haven't done it consistently. I had a break. I'm very grateful for that break, though, because I feel like I'm really choosing it now as one of my main practices.
Gotcha.
And it's so simple. It's such a simple technique. So
I'm not familiar with this. Where does it come from, and even the name? Where I'm not familiar.
Vipassana means insight meditation, and originally it comes from India, and the teachers of this tradition claim that it was the main technique that Buddha was teaching, and it basically left India and got lost in India. Burma was the place where the Vipassana meditation was strong, so in Burma, which is now Myanmar. And that technique then, the modern day teacher, he's passed on about 8 years ago, Goenka, He took that and started teaching in India, and it spread around the world. And for me, it's because it's such a down to earth. Really, it's nothing created in the mind, and it's all about the sensations in your body and focusing on your breath. There's two different aspects of the meditation of the 10-day course, and it's you do 3 days of what is called Anapana meditation, which is just focusing on your breath and calming your mind. So every time your mind wanders off, you just bring it back to your breath.
Mm-hmm.
That's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when your mind is calmer and focused, and you have a calmer mind, more focused, then you're given what's called Vipassana, which is a technique that you're basically scanning your body for sensations, and you're moving through your body. I love it because there's many meditation techniques out there, and whatever works for people is great. Anything that helps. But I don't resonate so much with visualization and doing things like that. I really like the simplicity and the realness, and it's almost like a down to earth technique. And it's free too, which is fantastic. You go and you donate at the centers. Like if you feel at the end, you just donate. So I love that as well. It's not something that you have to pay for, although most people do because they benefit from it.
Yeah.
But it's been a huge foundation, a huge cornerstone of my life.
Yeah. Well, I hear you. And a lot of mindfulness techniques utilize a lot of the same.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of finding that way to, when we're working on breath work or body sensation or any of those things, and we're trying to stay focused on just that, it helps bring an awareness to the other stuff that's going on with our mind. Right?
Exactly.
All those thoughts and how they just seem to kind of show up, and it helps us to create a way of understanding those things that are happening as not us.
Exactly.
Right?
Correct. Yeah.
And that is just huge in itself.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And all of it, I think, is going to be, like you said, very similar between the different practices. But for me, and I'm sure it was similar for you, this ability to start to understand that, we are bringing things to the present moment that aren't there. We're bringing our fears or shame from the past. We're bringing our fears and concerns about the future that aren't actually there. Right?
Yeah, we're creating a story. So
yeah.
And we live in we're storytellers. We're like all humans. We have to tell a story. But if we can understand it, that's just the story that's being told. We can make a distinction with that.
Yeah.
Then we can create some powerful presence and change.
Yeah.
But it's when we get wrapped up in it. We all do it to some level. And that's all right. It's okay.
One of the things that was a powerful thing to learn about some of the stuff our mind does is we're really good at evaluating our progress. And so the
progress.
Well, I mean, in terms of how well we're doing at a particular goal.
Sure.
And so the problem that we have, I mean, it's great for some things, but if we're trying not to do something, it's a big problem. Because what it does is we'll say, okay, don't think about this mug, but then every so often our brain's saying, are you thinking about that mug? Are you thinking about that mug? Because it's checking.
Yeah.
Right? And so the bigger thing is when the thoughts or the ideas come in, like we're seeing when we're trying to focus on the breath and we notice that they just appear, is that if you don't pay them any attention, they go away.
Yeah.
And so you're not trying to say, don't think that thought.
Exactly.
Or that thought was a bad thought.
Yeah.
You just let it go.
This is the key. My second course, I actually went down the other path and was kind of fighting my mind, and I came out pretty mentally unwell, and that took me like a year or two to really, through actually doing the technique properly, to heal from that. And invaluable lessons. Sometimes it's real. We have to go down these. We have to go down to the harder, challenging places in the mind to really have perspective and understand what it really is about. It's like life, you learn what you want, what you don't want. So, but that's exactly right. It's just all about your focus. It's like acceptance of everything, acceptance of it all, acceptance of everything, but just your focus. Where does your focus stay on?
Yeah.
It's so simple, but it's challenging.
It is, and I think one of the great
Yeah.
corollary benefits of that
Yeah.
is when we learn to be accepting of that stuff and just let it go. It creates a space where we are able to have more compassion for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as we are able to have greater compassion for ourselves, that allows us to have greater compassion for others.
For everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, that compassion for others, like, also comes from that deep nature connection as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I helped to facilitate a music, nature, and storytelling bush camp. That was it was actually a wilderness awareness school / 8 Shields Institute, which is based out of California.
Okay.
But we're starting to run the programs in Australia, and it was there was a 2-week bush camp of basically people living out in this beautiful place. Really a bush camp, like out in nature. It was amazing. Like, we had all in the forest. We had a path down to the beach. There was like nobody else around. Perfect surf break. It was like everything I needed. I was like, yeah, this is heaven. Except there just wasn't any fresh water. But you can't have everything. But so I didn't do the first week, which was animal tracking. The second week was music, nature, and storytelling. So it was 100 adults and 40 kids. So there was a kids program run concurrently. And I think it's really important to talk about this because while it's great to have these practices that are very introverted and very personal, especially when Vipassana, you don't talk for 10 days.
Oh, wow.
It's a silent retreat. So no talking until the end because it helps you focus. When I came out of this, I was very active. I mean, I was helping to run the camp, right? And interacting with tons of people all the time. But I have my sit spot in nature, and I was helping connect and tune in. I came away from that time in the bush with more compassion and presence for people than I have even from a Vipassana course. Because it was really about us creating nature-connected communities. And if we live in nature-connected communities, that compassion, that understanding will be part of us more strongly, because we'll have the space and the time for other people, and because we're actually understanding that the way that we need to evolve our society is reconnection to nature, and we need kids to be outdoors connecting. We need to be connecting with nature again in order to, I look at it like wavelength. Humanity is like this right now.
Yeah.
And every time you go out in the forest, out into the ocean, anything like this, it's a long period wavelength. It's like that gentle wavelength, but they have the most energy, they have the most power. But it's but they're slower as well. It's like for a surfer, they don't want to go out on a choppy day with little tiny waves. Even if it's bigger, they want to go out from the swell that's come from 2,000 miles away. And it's all well organized and slow, and but every single wave has that kind of energy behind it. So what I see humanity doing as we're building nature connected communities is we're actually tuning the vibration of humanity up to the rest of nature. And with that comes amazing mental health benefits. Like amazing.
Yeah.
Like all the anxiety, everything like that. I came back from that camp and my anxieties about music, a lot of stuff were just gone. Wow. They were just gone.
Yeah.
Because I feel connected again to nature, and I've studied that. I did a PhD on that, but I didn't have the experiential aspect really dialed in. I've been so focused on business, on music, on doing this, on pushing forward. Yeah. And so many people push forward all the time. It's like taking that space out to reconnect, and then it's just all of a sudden there's this like trust, like that we're part of everything. It's so profound.
One of the challenges I know people sometimes will have if they go on a retreat
Sure.
is they have the mountaintop experience, right?
Yeah.
But then how do they bring it back?
Integrate.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on how do we retain that?
Yeah, practice, daily practices. That's the only way to do it. Whether it's with Vipassana or it's with the nature connection work. The sit spot, doing that, being disciplined, having discipline doing the practices. Now, it's never going to, if people compare what they have had from that and they're, getting upset that they're not getting that on a day-to-day basis. That's just going to make it worse. You just have to be present with what is and take that experience. But doing the daily routines and the daily practices are really essential, Sitting and meditating, if you want to keep continuing with Vipassana, for instance, they say meditate for 2 hours a day. And people are like, oh, 2 hours a day, that's impossible. But you can start. Do an hour a day. Start with half an hour. Then grow it, And if it falls off, don't be hard on yourself. That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is there's so many different ways to do it that people can find what works for them in their lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like you can practice mindfulness while you're driving.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. It's a lot of it is how do we that awareness. What we really mean by mindfulness is becoming really aware is, am I actually present in whatever I'm doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Our conversation.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that can be rejuvenating all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Every moment is a new moment. And we can always drop in. We can always have that. And to have, concepts about, I think that's a great point. It's a great point because you can do that. But it is good to have the daily practices that are more regimented, but it doesn't have to look like this certain thing as well. They assist that, but it's this communication. Like you may drop in for a second and stop and listen and expand your senses and listen to all the birds for maybe like a minute while you're on a busy street. And that may the profoundness of like doing this work is like, the mental clarity and calmness that comes almost instantaneously when you're tuning into nature and you're observing and you're present, all the chatter just goes away for a bit. And then, but noticing that happens. So you're really right. You got a great point with that. It's good.
Yeah. And with the ritual part, that's one of the ways I like to think about it because humans like to have rituals.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of one of the ways, at least for me, that I found it helpful is to try and build in this idea of ritual, and then it's not so much something where I'm trying to fit it in or I'm trying to. I feel like I have to do this thing. It's like, oh, I get to do this thing. Yeah, and because it's good for me. I like it. Yeah. That's
it. When you notice the benefits, it shouldn't be something that you have to do.
Right.
You like doing it. Yeah. It's like I enjoy it. I love doing this stuff, and but that maybe initially it feels like that, but it's good to come at it from that perspective of like you see the benefits over time, and then it becomes easier.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like anything, you have to work it, you have to practice it in order to experience it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like music.
No getting around it. You can't do it without doing the work.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of music, would you like to share another song with us?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good,
Embody it and be it, know it and speak it. Nothing's out of reach when you believe it. We're tuning into gratitude in the heart. How I'll make a difference, how I'll make a start. So I plant those seeds and I watch them grow. Tune into my island home, and this is where I'm bound to go. La da da, la da da da, la da. Changes in the air, I'm feeling it all. La da, changes in the ground, planting our seeds. La da, changes in the air, I'm feeling it all. La da, changes in the ground. Oh. Embody it and be it, know it and speak it. Nothing's out of reach when you believe it. We're tuning into gratitude in our heart. How I make a difference, how I make a start. So I plant those seeds and I watch them grow. I tune into my island home, and this is where I'm bound to go. La da da da, la da 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 da. La da, changes in the air, feeling it all. La da, changes in the ground, we're planting our seeds. La da, changes in the air, feeling it all. Lot of changes in the ground. Oh, oh, oh. In that island, in that sun. Oh, we are connected and we are one. You sing that island, in that sun. Oh, we are connected and we are one. We connecting to the mother, connecting to her, connecting to the mother, connecting to her, connecting to the mother, connecting to her, connecting to the mother. Oh, lot of changes in the air, I'm feeling it. Oh, lot of changes in the ground, we're planting our seeds. Lot of changes in the air, I'm feeling it. Oh. Lot of changes in the ground. Oh, lot of changes in the air. I'm feeling it all. Lot of changes in the ground. Oh.
Hey, Manoa, that was much more of a reggae style song now.
Yes, yeah. It was. This is another track that I released a few years ago.
Okay.
Last year. Yeah, last year, and had amazing Bobby Alou on the drums. He is was Xavier Rudd's drummer for a while, and he's an amazing musician, and I got to really grateful I got to collaborate with him on the track.
And what's it called?
Changes in the Air. So this ties into everything we've been talking about. How do we create nature-connected communities? How do we create mindful communities? How do we create, what pathways can we provide for people? Because people feel helpless and lost. And that they have this feeling that they know what they want to do, but they don't. Where are they looking for it? Where do we find it? So, Changes in the Air is about a big project that I'm helping to roll out, and it's called the Pacific Earth School.
Oh,
and it's based in a couple different campuses, but one is on Stradbroke, Minjerribah Island, which is just outside of Brisbane, and my friends they have this property on the islands that 2.5-3 years ago was just asbestos in the house, grass, lawn, a few sad trees. Now you walk in there, it's a full permaculture food forest. You walk in and you can just eat everything. It's just lush. There's water. We're in a massive drought at the moment. It's the only property that's green still because all the roots are retaining the moisture. It's a paradise, right? So this is where they've been living. They'll be moving down to a place called Bellingen, which is another kind of a sanctuary rainforest place. But what we're doing with the Earth School is we're creating pathways, regenerative pathways for people who want to be active regenerators of the land and of the ocean and of themselves. We've been stuck on the sustainability thing for a long time.
Yeah.
And sustainability, that's where I did my PhD, was at the Sustainability Policy Institute. I feel like that paradigm is already done because what we're doing isn't sustainable. And the way that we're going to reach sustainability is by creating being regenerative. Like humans have the ability to destroy or create, right?
right.
So regeneration is about healing the land, healing the people, and creating a society that values nature connection and does that. So one of the programs that we're developing is we want to host 15 external university students that are studying environmental science, social science, sustainability, those pathways, and provide a 9-month program for them where, if you're an external student and you're studying, you have a real disconnect with community. And so much education is happening externally now. Huge amounts. we create a live-in program where they learn permaculture, they learn all these valuable nature connection. We have a very strong connection with the local indigenous Kwandamuka people on the island, so that connection is really, really strong. So they're going to be getting that really powerful, deep connected indigenous Aboriginal connection to the land. All of these aspects of what it's like. Food is medicine, understanding that, like the common sense things, how to grow your food, what to eat, and how to live as a community, really, so that they can be empowered to go out and work on projects that are regenerative. So when they come from that, we have one of the projects that we have that we lead on from that is we're regrowing the oyster beds in the bay. Okay. So what happened 100 years ago is that these, they came from Sydney, they ripped up the entire bay. It was all oyster reefs. So there was shellfish reefs were over a large portion of Australia. They ripped them all up for commercial purposes, for some for food, some for like lime, I think, for construction. We're working on creating that regeneration of the bay, and it's actually really easy to do.
Really,
it's really easy to do that, and so it's taking this where people learn how to live as community, learn how to connect with nature again in a deep way, feel connected, and actually experience that and be connected again. Yeah. Then from that, take that out into communities and work on projects that are actually actively regenerating the land and that. So we're creating pathways, and I'm sure there's many other nodes that are doing the same thing. You know, there's not one fit for all, but that needs that. The knowledge is there. Yeah. All the knowledge is there. It's just about creating these regenerative pathways, the way forward for people that are really at this time, at this crisis time for humanity. Really, people are waking up and they're like, "What can I do? What can I do to make a difference? I don't know." Well, here's one option. You know. Gotcha. And I think that's so important to provide these pathways for people. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago, I think, when somebody who was very involved in those directions challenged where I was doing some stuff with nonprofit work to stop thinking about sustainability and think of regenerative. Yes. Yeah. And really got me thinking on a lot of different levels. And I'm hearing what you're talking about there, especially with like the oyster bays. And I love the fact that you're bringing in kind of this multidisciplinary approach in terms of thinking about community and whatnot. But I'm wondering, is there a political component that goes with that that's going to help protect what you are rebuilding, or is it going to be potentially at risk again for commercial disruption?
So the great thing about Minjarra Boss Strategy is that all of the commercial mining operations is shutting, the sand mining on the island traditionally are shutting down. And the island is moving as a whole towards sustainable tourism and sustainable, basically like a sustainable tourism economy. So that nature-based component is why people go to the island. So and it's also the year for I think what is it called exactly, but it's a year for indigenous tourism. In Australia. So we get to work with indigenous tourism operators like that work in the community to liaise and work with them. I see myself as they are the original people of that place. They know. I mean, I grew up in San Diego. You know, they know their land. They know their waters. They know that. I'm just a tool. And the great thing about me is one thing I love about the Eight Shields work about this is that Coyote is like the guide is like the Coyote is the animal guide, and Coyote works around the edges. With all of my experience, with all the different people that I can work with you know, I work with a research station on the island as well. That's the University of Queensland, so I teach science camps there. So I work with the institutions, but I also work with the grassroots. And I'm this coyote between the worlds. Yeah. And so I'm kind of like that liaison between that and that. And if it goes back to your original question, all of both the institution and the grassroots they're all working towards they're working towards the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like there can be really like this tension between the two, and I would love that to dissipate, because we really want to create like a regenerative world. I really think at a deep level, like a lot of this people. Of course, you get a few people who kind of exhibit the greed and want to just have the money. That so there's that tension between aspects in the institutionalized corporation world and the grassroots world that you just need to work with. But these complex community dynamics come on anytime, especially when you're working with like empowering Indigenous communities.
Yeah.
That will come up. But again, I just want to be a tool. Like, I'm here. I've got the tool. I've got this ability to liaison and communicate.
Yeah.
But you are the local people. You are the original people. Let's do this, but let's do it led from you.
Right.
And I'll be like, I will work my magic how I can work it,
And I think that's a big shift, what you just said, whereas before we would, in more colonial style thinking, we had to come in and help somebody who wasn't able to do it for themselves, right?
That is now in Australia, that's still the dominant paradigm, massively. Huge.
So the idea of turning that around and saying, we're here to help support you.
Yeah.
This is, that's so huge.
100%.
Yeah. But I'd be curious to see, when you're working on developing these programs, if there's ways to work in how you deal with the political side of it, to be able to look at, because the system is part of the problem too, right? I mean, we've got to find ways to work at it from so many different angles.
This is right. And the conversations I have with the research station are so different from the conversations I have with the grassroots, like with that, because they're looking at permits, they're looking at the 9-month process to do anything, really, with all of these different bodies, basically. They're looking at sovereignty and Aboriginal rights and reclaiming the land for the people that it has been for 60, 70,000 years.
Yeah.
So you have these two different paradigms, and this tension between the two. But again, as Coyote, between the worlds, I have to be able to work with both and hopefully translate and work on some stuff, because they don't hate them, and they shouldn't, like, there shouldn't be that kind of tension. We both want the same goal. Yeah. So how do we? But you're right. Like, there is this red tape. There is if you go down that route, but. You want to regrow oyster beds? Here's how you do it. Like, it's super easy. If you're in the intertidal zone, get a bag, biodegradable bag. They use coconut fiber. Put a bunch of old oyster shells in it. Stake it in the ground. Come back a year later, and the reefs started to regrow.
Wow.
That's all you need to do. If you're at deeper water, you have to maybe put some substrate, put some rocks down, put the oysters in there. Come back a year later, probably, and anyway, Nature Conservancy and University of New South Wales are doing research onto it. But it's actually a fairly easy ecosystem to get going again. And what happens when you have healthy oyster reefs is you have healthy seagrass beds. So there's the other habitat in the bay is seagrass, and that's the dugongs or the manatees. So they live in the bay. But the problem with the bay is sedimentation off of the mainland, and these oysters filter feed. They clean the water. Then the seagrass grows because there's not as much sedimentation. Then the dugongs live better. Then the corals that are in the bay are living better. Then there's fish coming in because there's more habitat, there's more reef. It's just this positive regeneration back. And then the people who are creating a livelihood from the ocean are more abundant. It's just so like it just makes a lot of sense. There's another really interesting thing. We won't have time probably to get into it, but it's called marine permaculture, and that's basically regrowing the kelp beds, and that's another project eventually I would like to get involved in as well.
Yeah, I've seen some great stuff on that.
Yeah.
And the more, like, finding ways, so there's the political challenge, but there's also the economic challenges of how do we make it profitable
Sure.
to be regenerative,
Oh,
right? And we're seeing a lot of that happen with renewable energies.
Yep.
So there's a lot that can happen with sea vegetables, and
so much.
Yeah.
And these oysters, like, it actually helps the oyster farmers, like, to have better water, to have, like, if they grow in this way, it's going to help them too. It's just not an either or.
Right.
And this is like there's this paradigm, this like paradigm of society. It's like it has to be either or. It's like, no, it's a yes and. We create regenerative economies.
Right.
And that's amazing. And we can do everything. Like, Yeah.
Like, there's a whole
hard.
new way of being able to put these things together that is just amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love to hear what you're working on. That's some great stuff.
Thanks.
I'll be very interested in following up with you on this and seeing where things lead.
Yeah. It's all evolving,
Yeah.
It's an organism into its own. But for me, the music weaves through that. My expression, my spirit. When I go and I did that, when I did that camp, the new songs that came through were just so beautiful and powerful, and that was such a wake up for me of I've been focusing so much on the business, so much on pushing forward that I was actually forgetting a little bit about where the songs were coming from. So I just trust that I keep on this path, these songs will come through, and I'm going to give them the best, make them the best I can possibly,
Yeah.
and share them the best I can.
Love it.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, speaking of music, would you like to close us out with a song?
Sure.
Awesome.
Just because this other song really wants to come through, so I'm like, I don't want to stop it.
We were walking on the canyon road, feeling alive, my feet were covered up in snow. Back into the ground from where I came. This is the land of pine and sage, and no, it's in my blood. I let go. The air smelled of juniper and sage. I take a deep breath and I look close. Oh, to me. Looking into her clear eyes, reflections up into the skies, and I a peace inside. I let go. Weaving our melodies as one, open our hearts to rise up just like the sun. Shining light on our hearts in the places that were dark, so we open, oh, and heal now. I let go. Weaving our melodies as one, open our hearts to rise up just like the sun. Shining light on our hearts in the places that were dark. Open up, oh, it's here now. I back into the ground from where I came. This is the land of pine and sage, and I know it's in my blood.
Well, that was another just fantastic song. What is this one?
So this is, I talk about songs coming through, and some songs just have that. And I was sitting in a guitar shop in Western Australia, and I played a different guitar, and this song just came through. I was transported to canyon country in Arizona in the wintertime, and it was like this amorphous feminine there with me. I didn't know who she was or anything, but I had this feeling, and it was like there's just this feeling of really being out there, smelling like I could smell the Southwest. I could smell like the juniper and sage, and that's what the song is called, Juniper and Sage. And I could really feel like it's just the sensory experience of being out there on this big canyon rim, like looking out over everything, and the snow on the ground, and there's this woman there with me, and I think it's my beautiful partner now, so it's really nice. And what it is, it's about a sense of connection to nature and place, but it's also about a connection and a willingness to go deep with another person,
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I've been working on getting more emotionally vulnerable with the music. For whatever reason, I can talk about things, but sometimes with the music, I haven't been as emotionally raw or vulnerable in ways. And that's just my journey. Yeah. But this is definitely a song about opening up and opening up to that love and connection in that, but within the context of this beautiful land. So within the next couple of years, the music video is in my mind, and I can see it. I already see it. It's just got to be the right time for it.
Yeah. And
it's a beautiful song about connection and about love and about connection to the land as well.
Yeah.
So that's that song, really.
Yeah. Well, I love that area.
It helps bring me there every time I sing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arizona, New Mexico. There's just something about it that's just like.
Yep. Exactly. And I was sitting in Western Australia, which is so far away, in a bloody guitar shop, which is like Guitar Center pretty much. And I got transported back to Arizona,
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty magical. And that song is a really nice song. Juniper and Sage. That'll be released in the next year or two as well.
Oh, nice. So it seems like we're debuting a number of things here.
Yeah. There's a lot in the pipeline. It's a little bit. I'm going to be working on the music videos for My Medicine and another song called Life in the Garden, which is about Byron Bay, this summer. But I'm not releasing any new music. But the beginning of next summer, Australia time. That'll be winter here.
Yeah.
Next winter. And then hopefully I'll be able to come back and start playing more in the States and sharing the music here. And I feel very inspired by the music, by so many musicians in that are based here.
Yeah.
Satsang, Nako and Medicine for the People, Trevor Hall. I love. I feel such a strong connection. Tubby Love as well for that Hawaii vibe. I feel really inspired, especially by Satsang recently. If you haven't listened to him, check him out. And yeah, the American artists are really inspiring me at the moment, so that's what I've been listening to a lot of.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much good music. So.
Well, we're very happy to have you here while you're here.
Great.
Enjoyed your music. Yeah, and I definitely hope we get you back on when you come back around, because I'd like to get some updates on what's been happening with these different projects.
Definitely. I'll definitely do it. So, yeah.
Excellent.
When I'm back. I don't know when that's going to be, but or the universe works.
Yeah, it'll be when it is.
That's it.
There you go.
Cool.
Well, Manoa, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really enjoyed our time together.
Cheers, man.
Hey, be well.
Awesome.
And be well.